I spent an entire month planning Julian's birthday gala. He showed up with Hannah, the housekeeper's daughter, on his arm. The moment he stepped in front of me, fingers laced through hers, he said, "Luna, don't think that because you pulled me out of the water when we were kids you can hold my heart hostage. I'm marrying Hannah." While every guest stared at me with pity, I calmly lifted my champagne and tapped his glass. "Congratulations. Be happy." He thought I was about to confess my love again. I was only there to say goodbye. Because hours before the party I had already accepted someone else's proposal. Before my own wedding I boxed up every gift Julian had ever given me and returned them, including the engagement ring I'd meant to use when I asked him to marry me. "Julian, after today I will never bother you again. Please subscribe before we go on, and comment to tell us where you're listening from." I'd brainstormed surprises for 2 months. The second Julian walked in, every spark fizzled. The Sterling mansion glittered like a chandelier. I'd studied with the pastry chef until dawn and built a 6-tier cake taller than I am, waiting for the clock to strike 12 so I could whisper happy birthday. Instead he marched into the ballroom with Hannah on his arm as if they were the main event. "Luna, don't imagine my parents like you so much that you can blackmail me into loving you." He said it like I was a sticker he couldn't peel off. From the day the Sterlings took me in, I'd trailed after him like a shadow. Every birthday I baked him a cake from scratch, year after year after year. My cakes could stock a bakery, yet he had never once said thank you. A hush swallowed the room. The trust fund princesses smothered giggles behind their hands. They'd always said I was delusional, proposing 98 times, selling my dignity for a tiara. Hannah squeezed my fingers in pretend sympathy. "Julian, look, Luna's about to cry. She is, after all, a foster daughter of the Sterlings. Have some mercy." She made sure the words foster daughter rang out like a fire alarm. Laughter rippled louder. "She still hasn't figured out she's only adopted. Thinks she's a princess waiting for Prince Charming." I stood behind the cake cart, head buzzing. "Luna, need me to spell it out?" "I'm marrying Hannah." My voice cracked. "Then why did you chase off the boy who asked me to my debutante ball?" "Because you're my responsibility, my little sister." I filter the losers. If you'd married that nobody, the whole Vance family would have been humiliated. My knees wobbled. "When I got lost hiking and sprained my ankle, you scoured the mountain and carried me down." Julian rubbed his nose, cold indifference settled on his face. "He hates hiking, he can't stand bugs. My parents forced me. If I hadn't brought you home, we'd owe yours forever." His words floated past me like a bad dream. I pulled a bright smile. "So that's the truth. I invented the rest. The night my design got rejected and I drank myself stupid, you kissed me. Was that a mirage too?" "That was a mistake." As if sealing a pact, Julian raised Hannah's hand. A 6-carat diamond flashed. "Luna, one last time, I am marrying Hannah. Stop hunting me in any form." He whisked her to the cake as the clock told midnight, wrapped an arm around her waist, sliced the first piece. Hannah gazed up, blush glowing. When the lights dimmed and the candles flickered, they saw only each other. Kiss, kiss, kiss. I don't remember the crowd closing in. From a distance I watched Julian cradle the back of her head and kiss her. Hannah's cheeks flushed, she clutched the lapel pin on his tux. Toasts exploded like fireworks outside the windows. I felt none of it. All I saw was the drunken night. I'd looped my arms around his neck. "Julian, you like me, prove it. Kiss me and see if your body votes yes." He hadn't shoved me away, I'd counted that as love. My 99th confession had failed. While everyone offered me pity, ing smiles, I lifted my champagne and tapped his glass. "Congratulations. Be happy." Hannah moved into the Sterling mansion with full legitimacy. Julian had pulled stunts before. To cushion the blow, Sterling gave me the family heirloom necklace meant for a daughter-in-law. "Luna, Julian's just confused. While I'm breathing, Hannah will never cross that threshold as his wife." I wrapped my arms around Sterling and cried into her shoulder. The next morning I got up at dawn to feed my cockatiel as usual. Every day he greeted the sun with a swoop around the balcony. I stepped outside, empty perch. I tore through the house shouting his name. At the landing I spotted him on the marble, tiny body limp, yellow feathers scattered. The metallic smell of blood filled the air. A tabby kitten darted into Hannah's arms, beak colored down stuck to its whiskers. "I'm so sorry, Luna. Tiny didn't mean it. Scold me, hit me, just please spare the cat." She trembled, tears poised to fall. She'd figured out I charged straight, no zigzag. "Hand her over." I reached out, fury barely leashed. She clutched the kitten and shook her head. "Please, she's all I have from the village. Kill her and you kill me." "Hannah, you planned this, didn't you?" Her face flipped like a switch. How could you accuse me, Luna? She dropped to her knees, painting me the villainess in a melodrama. Alarm bells rang. I grabbed her elbow to haul her up. Before I made contact, she slapped herself, crimson blooming on her cheek. Luna, throwing another tantrum? Julian sprinted over, saw her kneeling, saw the handprint. He shoved me, my elbow cracked against the banister. White-hot pain shot up my arm. Hannah, you're bleeding. I provoked her, Julian. It's my fault. This isn't the 18th century. Nobody slaps my fiancé, period. Raised in this house so long she thinks manners don't apply to her. He stepped between us, eyes glacial. Apologize to Hannah. Julian, she killed, I said, apologize. Warmth slid down my forearm and dripped to the floor. He never looked. Only revulsion stared back at me. I laughed, a dry, brittle sound, cradled the cockatiel, and sealed my lips. At last Julian noticed the lifeless bundle in my hands. What? He's supposed to be locked up. I pivoted away. We'd bought a pair once, the mate flew off during free flight. This one never accepted another companion, so we kept him solo. Seeing him dead, Julian's mask cracked. He caught my wrist. Hannah dove for my sleeve, sobbing, let me pay. Punish me, not Tiny. I tried to detach her, she missed a step and tumbled down the staircase right in front of me. Any guilt in Julian's eyes blinked out. In slippers he bounded down and scooped her up. Luna, rein in your schemes. If Hannah loses that baby, I'll bury you. It's a bird, for God's sake. Get your priorities straight. You're only making me hate you more. He bolted out the door without even changing clothes. Cradling the small body, I trudged downstairs to check on her. He slammed into me, my hearing aid flew out and clattered down the steps. Sterling had bought that device for me when I was 6. After I dragged drowning Julian from the waves on vacation, my ears lost their function. I've worn aids ever since. She held my hand that night and said, the Sterlings owe you a life. It's why, the day my father's company imploded and he jumped from a rooftop, Sterling arrived within the hour to bring me home. I was shaking when I went downstairs, picked up the hearing aid, and discovered that no matter how I adjusted it I couldn't hear a thing. It was the only birthday present Julian had ever given me, etched with my name. I had just arrived at the Sterling house then, riding to school with him, when classmates whispered behind my back that I was just a deaf charity case. Julian, who never bothered with other people's business, stepped in front of me and floored the old money heiress who'd spit the slur. Anyone who messes with Luna from now on is messing the Sterlings. When I sobbed into my pillow at midnight, he dragged me to the rooftop terrace to look at the stars. Don't be scared, Tang Tang. From now on I'll be your ears. If anyone dares badmouth you, I'll be the first to shut them up. I picked up the hearing aid, forced myself down the stairs, found the spot under the crabapple tree my cockatiel had loved in the garden, laid the bird gently on a handkerchief beside me, and started to dig. I kept digging until both palms were caked with mud. I tucked a tiny blanket over him, set his favorite seed mix at his side, and mechanically pushed the dirt back in, until everything in front of me turned into a blur. A roar surged through my ears. My cockatiel was dead, and the past Julian and I shared died with him. When I woke again, Nanny came in with ginger soup. That night Julian didn't come home, he stayed at the hospital keeping watch over Hannah the entire night. I was absent-mindedly scrolling Instagram when I suddenly saw Hannah's selfie in a hospital gown. The caption read, "The 4-leaf clover bracelet I've wanted forever is finally here. Thanks, hubby Heartsuit." I looked closely. The bracelet was supposed to have been my graduation gift from Julian. Back then he'd claimed he had no idea how to pick a present and told me to choose. I'd chosen the 4-leaf clover bracelet, a worldwide limited edition meant to bring luck to your sweetheart. Now that very bracelet was fastened tight on Hannah's wrist. The comment section overflowed with congratulations. In the past, I would have kicked up a fuss and demanded an explanation from Julian. He would have said it was just a bit of fun and told me not to be so serious. He always spun the illusion that, to him, I was the one who mattered most, yet every time I wanted a real answer he changed the subject, leaving me swinging between hope and despair. This time, I simply blocked both Hannah and Julian on Instagram. No more entanglement. Aunt called, "Tang Tang, have you thought it through? If you really can't let Julian go, Aunt can still call it off." "No, Aunt, I'm going to marry him." When my parents died, Aunt was still abroad, cut off from the entire Luna family. She had turned her back on the clan for the man she loved. When she finally returned to Eastbrook, Dad had already jumped from a rooftop, Sterling bankrupt and drowning in debt. Mom, clinically depressed for years, followed him soon after. That was when Mom's best friend, Sterling, took me into the Sterling house. Ever since Aunt met Julian 5 years ago, she's never really liked him. All these years overseas she kept trying to match me with her best friend's son, Mason. Because I always believed Julian and I would end up married, I turned her down every time. But tonight, I finally let go of my obsession with Julian. Confessing once and being rejected might not take much courage, but being turned down 99 times wears you out. I don't want to stay the girl forever staring at Julian's back. I need to take my life back. A year earlier, I had entered a design contest. The person who beat me for first place was Mason. I had prepared for that competition an entire year, and he snatched the top prize with what looked like ease. I was furious. But during my graduate studies in Germany, I came across his portfolio at the Design Institute. Bit by bit, Mason's creations moved me. Aunt beamed on the video call. Wonderful. Auntie knew you'd finally see how good Mason is. He took the e-shine offer at the Eastbrook design firm just for you, you know. A smile tugged at my lips. I lifted my eyes to the photo of Julian and me on the shelf. In it I'm grinning like candy, once fantasizing we'd stay together forever. Later he grew more and more impatient. I would smile as ingratiatingly as possible for his camera, and he'd find me childish. I thought he'd outgrown documenting life, until I saw Hannah's Instagram full of hiking, hot spring trips, trekking videos. Turns out he hadn't outgrown anything, he'd simply saved the patience to record those moments for Hannah. I checked the post date, April 12th. That was the day of my design preliminaries. Julian had promised to cheer me on, then took a call, looked at me apologetically and said something urgent had come up at the office. He couldn't accompany me. So in his heart, hiking with Hannah was the bigger priority. 2 weeks later Hannah was discharged. Maybe afraid I'd cause trouble, he and Hannah moved out. Hannah updated Instagram. Big news coming soon. The picture showed 2 hands clasped tight. I recognized Julian's at once by the rice grain-sized mole on his index finger. I boxed up everything connected to Julian and officially moved out of the Sterling house. Only when I really left did I realize how few things I could call my own. I blocked Julian on every channel. Sterling called again and again, I didn't pick up. Mason had already found me an apartment, and we went on our first date. We decided not to live in Eastbrook. Every corner there carried memories of Julian. I wanted a clean break. Mason agreed. In the middle of the night, after I finished settling the new place, my phone rang. Auntie? Tang tang, after Nanyu found out you'd moved, he stormed out looking for you and hasn't come back. I hung up, went straight to the private club Julian frequented. Just as I was about to push the door open, I heard the clink of glasses inside. Julian, easy on the booze. Tang Tang still doesn't know where you are. For your parents' sake, go look for her. So what? I'm drinking on purpose. Luna loves me so much, there's no way she'll really leave. It's just another trick. The second Mom calls her, she'll come running. And once she shows up, if I show even a speck of affection, she'll crumble and trot right back to the Sterling house. He sounded absolutely sure of himself. I shoved the door open and stared at Julian sprawled on the floor, wasted. Is that so? I immediately texted Sterling the address. It was the least I could do after all the years she'd looked after me. A flicker of guilt crossed Julian's eyes. He reached for my hand. I recoiled instinctively. He grabbed air. I came because Aunt is worried. Don't read into it, Julian. What do you mean? Where are you staying? I'll drive you. He stood, straightened his clothes, and when he leaned in a cloud of alcohol hit me. His buddy slipped out, trying to give us space. I yanked the door open and turned to leave. He caught my purse strap from behind. Tang Tang, how can you be this cruel? Just discard me. I turned, half laughing. Did he really have the right to ask why I was walking away after grinding my sincerity into the dirt? I clenched my teeth, determined to end it. Julian, no one stands still forever. I waited for you 6 years, confessed 99 times, I'm exhausted. I'm getting married. Wish you and Hannah happiness. The next day Mason and I went to pick a wedding gown and ran straight into Julian and Hannah doing the same. Hannah and I zeroed in on the same dress. Luna, did you hire a male model to parade around just to get Nanyu's attention? Julian's eyes were shot. Clearly he'd drunk himself stupid the night before. What, you think dragging some guy to a bridal salon will make me jealous? I ignored their little show and asked the stylist to help me try the gown on. Hannah wouldn't drop it. Nanyu, I saw this wedding gown first. With her big doe eyes she tugged Julian's sleeve. The sales associate, unable to bear it, said evenly, Hannah, this gown was custom ordered by Luna months ago. Please feel free to browse other styles. Julian stared at me, perplexed. If this were a stunt, I wouldn't have gone so far as to pre-order a dress. What he didn't know was that Mason had asked his fashion design classmate to handcraft this piece, one of a kind on the planet, his wedding gift to me. When he noticed the chipped edge of my hearing aid, guilt flashed across Julian's face and he instinctively reached toward my ear. I shifted away without a word. His hand hovered awkwardly, then dropped. Let's look at others. Furious that Julian had taken my side, Hannah flung his hand off and ran out of the boutique in tears. Watching Julian chase after her, I finally exhaled. If Mason's parents weren't set on holding the ceremony in Eastbrook, I'd have eloped. The fitting left me drained. Sensing my mood, Mason pulled me into a pet shop. I know you love birds, see if any catch your eye. As I walked past the cages, a tiny parakeet burst into the exact chirpy tune I'd spent weeks teaching my late cockatiel. In a heartbeat Mason bought the bird for me. When we passed the amusement park, the gates were already shut. Mason snapped his fingers and every bulb on the midway flared to life at once. We chased each other on the carousel, rode the skylift until we'd seen every last sparkle of Eastbrook skyline, and spun ourselves delirious on the pendulum hammer, screaming every ride I'd always been too terrified to try. At the scariest second I emptied every grievance I'd ever carried into the wind. Completely spent, I stepped off the ride and felt 10 pounds lighter. Fireworks burst overhead, great chrysanthemums of gold and violet. I had no idea who'd arranged the timing. Then, without warning, Mason dropped to one knee and produced a small red velvet box from behind his back. Luna, will you marry me, be my wife, stay beside me for the rest of our lives, never leave, never let go? I looked up, the fireworks had rearranged themselves into blazing letters, marry me, Luna. So he really had catalogued every offhand word I'd ever said. I used to be the one staging every holiday surprise and birthday miracle for Julian. Julian rarely bothered to return the favor. I stretched out my hand and let him slide the 6-carat pink diamond onto my finger. Meeting his clear eyes, I drew a breath and said, let's get the license tomorrow, Mason. That night I opened Mason's wine cabinet. For the first time, I want to drink. Mason caught me as I swayed, long fingers tugging the door open. All right. Mason, you've got the patience of a saint. I pinched his cheek without thinking, then noticed the blue diamond stud in his ear. What decade is this? Some drama leads unresolved first love. He touched the earring, gaze steady. There is someone. A twinge of irritation flickered, and vanished. We'd barely met, every time we had, he'd stolen the spotlight anyway. Ant's judgment had always been solid, apart from that ghost in his heart, Mason's resume was flawless. He selected a bottle, decanted it himself, poured a crystal glass and handed it over. Don't overdo it. I'd only been drunk once, my first confession to Julian. I'd slurred don't leave me against his chest, convinced I had nothing left. I raised the glass and downed half in one go. The man in front of me blurred, 2 heads, and why was he walking upside down? The floor rolled like cotton, I wrapped my arms around the nearest neck. Pretty face, come closer, let big sister get a good look. I kissed him hard. I woke up cotton-mouthed, a few very adult film clips looping behind my eyes. A dull ache confirmed the impossible, I'd slept with Mason. Still mortified, scrambling for a place to hide, I heard the door open. Breakfast's ready. After we eat, we pick up the license. He sounded as though I'd already been his wife for years. I nibbled toast under a laser stare. By the time he tucked me into the car I was on autopilot. The clerk stamped the certificate before I fully believed it was happening. Across the street, Julian stood in a black trench coat, striding toward us. His eyes nailed the 6-carat pink diamond. Tang tang, are you sure? Don't torch your whole life just to spite me. He reached for my hand, Mason stepped between us, unhurried. Kindly keep your distance from my legal wife. The phrase drew blood. I signaled Mason that I could handle it. Julian's stare shifted to the red Maria. G book. Cut the act. You staged all this to rattle me, fine, you win. He wore the same smug grin he'd used every time I'd hired a fake boyfriend or forced him to choose between me and Samaris. I'd always interpreted his jealousy as proof I mattered. Not this time. When my cockatiel was mauled to death he'd sided with Hannah. When I needed him at my biggest competition he went hiking with her. After 99 carefully planned confessions he told a ballroom he was done with me and would marry Hannah. Hope had been run dry. Julian, I'm exhausted. We're finished. He dropped to one knee anyway and produced the engagement ring I once gave him. Tang tang, don't you remember? These bands are your parents' only keepsake. You swore we'd wear them together, never apart. The memory reel spun, fireworks, violin, me kneeling. I took the rings back but said nothing. My silence cracked his composure. You didn't see the apartment, photos shredded, empty closets. I was terrified I'd lost you. I used to drink every word, now the well was dry. Spare me the heartsick act. You just can't stomach the doormat walking away. His mouth pinched white. Thinking that settled it, I tugged Mason toward the car. Julian stepped into the traffic lane. If you don't care, I might as well die. Once, a paper cut on his finger flipped me into mother hen mode. Today I slid into the seat without a glance. Horns blared, Julian retreated to the curb, eyes wounded, arms spread to block the hood. Tang Tang, how can you be this cruel? Before I could answer, a familiar figure appeared behind him. Hannah. So proposing to her, what does that make us, Julian? He shoved her off. Whatever you want, collateral damage, satisfied? He'd never spoken harshly to her. When she shattered Sterling's favorite wineglass he'd played White Knight. Now, toy snatched away, he was all tantrum and terror. So our baby means nothing? She rested a hand on the faint swell of her belly. Julian's face froze. I lowered the wind. Ow. Sort your life out first. Hannah led him away. As we passed she shot me a venomous glare. Skip Eastbrook if you want, Mason said. We'll elope. But your parents deserve to watch their son marry. No regrets. Mom, Dad, I'm getting married. Can you see? Mason squeezed my left hand. I'll take care of you for them. It took me 3 full seconds to realize he meant my parents. We dove into venue tastings, guest lists, gown fittings, no spare breath. After I chose my reception dress Mason texted, deadline on a sketch, driver coming. Rain sheeted down as I left the mall. Splashing through puddles, we passed Central Plaza, and the billboard flashed. May 12th, Eastbrook Sterling CEO Julian to propose to Luna at Cloudtop Hotel, live-streamed. My phone buzzed with dozens of texts, all Julian, you've walked 99 steps, let me take the 100th. I love you. I know you love me. You'll come. May 12th, the day Mason and I say I do. My phone kept buzzing. It was Sterling. I hesitated, then picked up. Luna, why haven't you come home? Julian's finally come to his senses. He's proposing today at Cloudtop. Put on something gorgeous. Aunt's already wrapped your wedding gift. Her voice brimmed with relief and anticipation. I opened my mouth, but nothing came. Aunt. I'm sorry, I can't come back. A commotion crackled through the speaker. Julian had grabbed the phone. Luna, the jumbo screen in Central Square has been looping my proposal for days. Everyone in Eastbrook knows today's the day. Are you really going to let me become the town's punchline? Julian had always treated me like a hurdle on his path to happiness. Sterling had brought up engagement again and again, yet Julian kept insisting I was just a little sister to him. Humiliating me in public every time I confessed had never bothered him. Now that I'd finally let go and stepped aside so he and Hannah could be happy, what stunt was he pulling? Did their grand romance need me as a permanent prop, crushed and sob bin? G in the background, to prove how priceless it was? I clicked on the video he'd sent of the proposal setup and let out a cold laugh. Julian, the year I spent months planning your birthday surprise, you grabbed Hannah's hand and announced you'd marry her on the spot. Missing your loyal groupie already? You said I used that life-saving crap to blackmail you into marriage. Well, the blackmail ends today. Go build your perfect life with Hannah, may you two stay locked together forever. I hung up and motioned the makeup artist for a touch-up. When Aunt slipped in, tear tracks still streaked my face. She took the brush from the artist and finished my makeup herself, then set a steaming box of mushroom buns on the vanity. From Zhang's, the stall I loved most. Eat fast. Walking the aisle on an empty stomach is a nightmare. My heart, shredded raw by Julian, began to soak up warmth again. I hugged Aunt tight. She wore the same perfume Mom had used. Aunt said nothing, only patted my back softly. The music began. I took her arm and walked the red carpet. Mason waited at the far end. Beneath a snow of gardenia petals I became his bride and vowed to stay with him until our hair turned white. The whole ceremony was being live-streamed. What I didn't know was that Julian had readied 100 cockatiels and mountains of gardenias for his colossal 100th confession. But the leading lady married Mason, sole heir to the Sterling design empire, that same afternoon. By next morning the three-way train wreck was trending nationwide. After the reception Mason and I left for our honeymoon. The first month we crisscrossed Europe. Mason looks every inch the gentleman, but once he starts he's insatiable. A wolf in tailored wool. When I woke I automatically reached for the cobalt stud in his ear. Before the wedding I'd barely noticed it, now it made my mind race. Lost in thought, I didn't see his eyes open. He pinned me under him. What's on your mind? The story behind that blue diamond. D. With Julian I'd had to decode every glance, one wrong guess and I spiraled. With Mason it's the opposite, he exudes calm. Because I came straight out with it, he grinned. It came from a girl's hair clip. I blinked. Some high school sweetheart? I transferred senior year while my parents were divorcing. Kids bullied me into depression, and I climbed the roof to jump. A girl yanked me back. She said, "If no one else loves you, let me." Pretty romantic. Did you ever find her? I did. A weird flutter of jealousy. I stretched my lips into a bright smile. If you want, we can divorce anytime. A girl like that shouldn't get away. He let more of his weight settle on me and nipped my lip. That eager to split? Before I could answer he cupped my head and deepened the kiss, then whispered against my ear, "Idiot, I found her, and I married her." While my brain caught up, his hand had already slipped under my nightgown and was tracing slow, lazy patterns. We didn't set foot in Eastbrook again until New Year's. I flipped on the TV and a newscaster's voice filled the room. A Sterling employee had blown the whistle on massive tax evasion. Waving documents, the whistleblower's video went viral overnight. I recognized her at once, Hannah. After I left, Julian had paid her to terminate the pregnancy. Hannah refused, showed up at Sterling's door belly first, and Sterling collapsed and had to be resuscitated. Julian kicked her away, she tumbled down the stairs and miscarried on the spot. The woman who'd schemed to vault into high society morphed love into hate and leaked every internal file she had. Authorities raided Sterling, the cash chain snapped, and 3 months later the conglomerate filed for bankruptcy. Sterling, watching the news, saw his life's work incinerated because of Hannah. His chronic illness flared, he was rushed to the ICU but never came back. I saw Julian again when I visited Sterling's grave with a clutch of daisies. He staggered toward me, eyes hollow, arms reaching. I stepped aside coldly. "Luna, where have you been? I've searched everywhere." I'd meant to lay the flowers and leave, but he blocked my path. "Julian, I'm sorry for your losses, but as you can see, I'm 10,000 times better without you." A bitter smile tugged at his lips while he studied my face. "Hannah and I are done. Come back, okay? Come back and hear my 100th confession." People really do wait until something's gone to treat it like treasure. Why on earth would I return? Because he betrayed every debt of gratitude and mutilated me for Hannah's amusement. When he grabbed for my hand I slapped him so hard my hearing aid flew to the ground. "You're hopeless, Julian." In the past 5 years I'd lost my parents, lost my hearing, and for a long time I'd clung to him as my only raft. And he? Collected girlfriends to gauge my reaction, rejected every honest confession I made, bragged on Instagram that no matter how obscene he acted I'd never walk away. "Luna, don't be cruel. You're ripping my heart out." I stepped back with a smile. "Hannah is vile, but your attitude toward love nauseates me more." He basked in her hero worship while feasting on my endless anxiety. "If anyone deserves hell, it's you." Seeing him broken, I laughed. "You know what I regret most?" He guessed the blade was coming and shook his head frantically. "I regret saving your pathetic life when we were kids. You kept me on a leash while playing Prince and Pauper with Hannah. How delusional do you have to be to think I'd forgive you?" The last flicker of hope drained from his eyes. He never sought me out again. The next time I heard his name it was on the news. Drunk, he'd gone to Hannah's condo to hand her cash and heard her in bed with another man. He'd always believed the miscarried child was his. Between thrusts the pair mocked the chump paying Hannah's rent while they cuckolded him. His pride detonated. When the couple stepped out to shop, Julian rammed them with his car. Hannah D. IED on the spot. Julian received the death penalty for first-degree murder. Sterling visited once. I gave him every cent I'd saved, rented him an apartment, and hired a caregiver for his remaining years. Every anniversary of Sterling's death I accompany him to her grave. Seasons rolled from spring to autumn, and on our wedding anniversary Mason dragged me up to the roof of the high school we once shared. He knelt and produced an emerald ring, vowing to propose again every single year. I slid the ring on, rose on my toes, and kissed him. Promise kept. He touched his forehead to mine and smiled. Down on the football field I could almost see Julian sinking three-pointers the way he used to. It's fine if true hearts get trampled sometimes. He simply wasn't worthy of mine. Time filters the false, and the one left holding me is the man who loves me most. That man is Mason. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you liked it, hit like and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your take in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales. See you next time.